Morning everybody, 9:30 and it's already a hot one. So is it possible to have too much green behaviour in your diary? Well, yes it is, and today I'm going to tell you a story about a CEO who realised that they were very amber, almost exclusively amber, decided to become green and then forgot something really important. I wonder what that was, ironically. But before we do, let's talk about the colours. I'm actually going to delay going into the sun because it's really hot. Okay, so there's the 3 green behaviours: thinking, communicating and improving. And those are the things that if you have them in your diary in the right proportion will take you, your people and your organisation upwards, make you better. Then there's the amber behaviour: monitoring and directing. And those are the things that maintain status quo, keep things where they are and manage risk. Manage risk is really important in this one. Then there's the red: doing. That's the red behaviour. That's the operational stuff and the administrative stuff. And if you spend too much of your time doing that, depending on who you are in the organisation, it could take you backwards because it's taking time away from your green and amber. And then there's the brown behaviour, floating. And if you have any of that in your diary, you might as well just go home, put it down for another day because that's adding no value whatsoever. So this particular CEO had a realisation that pretty much all of their time was amber. Okay, now it was one of the particular amber behaviours, it was directing. So they realised that the majority of their time was spent giving instruction to people, telling everybody what they needed to do. Really hands-on, what you call probably a hands-on manager. Not physically doing it for them, but just giving everybody instructions and orders. And this was actually dragging them backwards. And what they realised was that because they wanted to get investment, that wasn't going to happen unless they spent a lot more of their time on green behaviour. So that's the thinking, communicating, improving, and that's going to take them upwards. Now this gave them an incredible amount of freedom because up until that point they felt that their role was primarily to direct the amber. And so that's what they did. They changed their behaviour. But they went a little bit too far. Now if you're a CEO, you should be spending approximately 80% of your time, 4 days a week, on green behaviour, thinking about how you're going to make things better, talking to people about how you want to make things better, and listening to their feedback, really important, and then amending it as such. And then not only thinking about it and talking about it, but actually doing it, improving it. Okay, those are the green behaviours. Should be spending about 4 days a week doing that. But you can't forget that 1 day of the week is supposed to be spent on the amber behaviour. And it's not the directing one. It's on the monitoring one, checking to see that things are going the way they should be going. It's your kind of final stage check, or your intermediary check. Now, what had actually happened in this case is the CEO had pretty much negotiated an agreement, a contract with a new client, and they'd handed over the final stages of the deal to somebody within their organisation. Good morning.
Morning.
Now, what had happened is that in the period between handing it over, one day they found that the contract had been signed, but it hadn't been signed with the terms that they'd agreed. And they were really confused, angry even. How's that happened? How have they allowed that to happen? And what was interesting is that it became very clear that they got really excited about the prospect of doing that more strategic and visionary behaviour, that they'd forgotten this bit. And it wasn't about them being there at every step of the way in the completion of the contract and the signing of it, but they at least have to have their hands on it towards the end, or even at slight points in the middle, just to check that things are still as they should be. And this is something they'd forgotten to do. They'd pretty much gone 5 days green, 5 days of green behaviour and no checking. And it's the checking that is going to stop you from being tripped up. It's the managing risk, making sure that nothing happens that's going to give you a nasty surprise. So the moral is, it is possible, you do need green behaviour, but if you had too much of it and you don't have enough of your monitoring in there, then you might get a nasty surprise. That's all it is for today. Oh, and one other thing. If you have too much of the amber monitoring behaviour, could be an indication that you're micromanaging. And that would be a really interesting conversation to have. So there you have it. You can have too much green behaviour, but don't forget a little bit of monitoring. That's it for today. Enjoy the sun. Have a great day and have a great week.